toward the top of the stretch. And they're into the stretch. And here we go. Songbird sent down. Beholder is alongside. The 7-year wait is over. American Pharoah is finally the one. American Pharoah has won. He's just perfect. And now he's just immortal.
Here's the wire. Desperately close. Tis now wins it for America.
Hello and welcome to the Capital OTB Stakes preview for Saturday, February 16th. Sully, Crotty, and Mike Callahan in. Mike, how are you?
What's going on, Sully? How you doing?
Doing great, and we're going to see if we can keep the momentum going from our stakes preview the last 2 or 3 previous, and they really have been pretty informative, and we got some nice prices home.
Yeah, the start of 2019 as far as the stakes preview goes has been dynamite. I know we've been off for the last couple weeks because you guys were down at Gulfstream last week. We were out in Vegas, and I was actually down at New Orleans. So we had to take a couple weeks off, but we're back at it. I know you had Harvey Wallbanger at a big price that we were able to promote, and hopefully everybody had it. And then the week before was Pegasus, where we were able to give away the straight triple. I had the straight triple in the Pegasus World Cup, paid about $200. So so far so good in 2019. And again, like you said, try to keep it going.
Yeah, and it's really nice racing all across the country, and highlighted by the fairgrounds. You have 12 races, fantastic races, and a really tough card. We're going to look at the 4 stakes races, the 4 last races at the fairgrounds. And then we're going to look at Laurel. Laurel's got a nice sprint race. That's the Barbara Fritchie, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And there is a guaranteed pool of $200,000 for this all-stakes late pick 4 at fairgrounds, and that's going to start with race 9. Race 9 at the fairgrounds, that is the MINESHAFT handicap grade 3 event. They're going a mile and a 16th. And then we'll move on to race number 10 at the fairgrounds. That is the fairgrounds handicap. The fairgrounds handicap is a grade 3 event. They're going a mile and an 1/8 on the turf course. And then we'll move on to race 11. That is the ALEXANDRA. This is a grade 2 event for 3-year-old fillies, going a mile and a 16th on the main track. And then the finale on Saturday afternoon at the fairgrounds, it is the Risen Star, grade 2 event for 3-year-olds. They're going a mile and a 16th on the main track. And then we're going to look at Laurel. Laurel's got a really nice card as well. Race number 9 at Laurel Park, it is the Barbara Fritchie grade 3 event. This is for fillies and mares 4 and up. They're sprinting 7 furlongs.
And as you said, we'll go back to the kick off this late pick 4 all stakes pick 4, $200,000 guaranteed. And as we were handicapping back and forth, we usually don't try to tell each other our selections, but we did say this is a pretty deep type of pick 4 where
tough.
I don't think it's going to come back $90, for 50 cents. I think this is coming back somewhere.
Thousand.
Exactly. It could come anywhere from hopefully 400 to maybe a couple thousand. There are definitely races where you're going to have to go deep in, and we'll take a look at this 9th race and kick it off. As Sully said, it's the grade 3 MINESHAFT, a mile and a 16th on the dirt. A field of 13. We're going to bring up the page right now to show you the field for this grade 3 event. And you have to start out with the favorites. Lone Sailor, Harlan's Punch, a horse that I know you and I are high on as well. You're going to see Flame Away at 5-1, Quip at 6-1. But again, everybody's sort of lukewarm in here. There are a couple live long shots, but we do want to go over the horses that we like and show some replays, starting off with Lone Sailor, who's going to be my top choice in here. And we're going to see the replay of the Breeders' Cup Classic, where the horse was able to close substantial ground that day. Again, they went quick fractions, accelerated. Going into this with a 6th place performance, but you're going to see him on the outside, the number 5 horse in this race, starting to get momentum going. Again, they went quick up front, and he's able to finish up what I consider a strong 6th place performance. Was a career best 97 buyer. We haven't seen the horse since the Breeders' Cup Classic, but I think it was an encouraging effort. You go back to the 2-back race where the horse was able to finish and get up to win that race in the grade 3 Oklahoma Derby at Remington Park. I think one that's on the improve was a 3-year-old facing olders in this type of situation. I think first start at 4 years old could definitely improve for Tom Amoss, who's done terrific down at Fairgrounds so far, 21% as far as the win percentage goes. The workouts have been tremendous. Take a look at that February 9th workout, first of 62, 59-2 for 5 furlongs. I think this horse is ready to go. I'm not thrilled with the price at 7-2. I'm hoping that it holds in this type of situation, but I think Lone Sailor has a big shot in here.
Yeah, he definitely does. I have Lone Sailor actually 4th in my mix, and I'm going with the second choice in the MINESHAFT, and that would be Harlan Punch. Harlan Punch is coming in in great form into this race, and this is a horse that's won 2 of the last 3. The only loss was by a neck 2 starts back in a stakes race, and the Brad Cox barn is red hot down in Louisiana. 21% there. You get Florent Giroux up at 20% as well. And this is a horse running against familiar company. Going into last time out, and we're going to actually pull up that replay of Harlan Punch. This horse has a lot of speed, and you could see from this last replay, they won 1 mile and a 16th. This horse is running against familiar company, against Silver Dust and Fat Man. So I just think a repeat of that performance. This horse gets home. I know the fractions aren't really comforting because they did go a little bit slow in that race. They run a 49-3, but the other races, this horse went 47-4, 47 flat, 45-1, and still was able to run competitive races in some stakes races. So I'm going to use Harlan Punch on top because there's not too much other speed in this race. There's a lot of horses that want to sit off the pace, but there's Flame Away and Harlan Punch. So I think if Florent can get to the lead, it could be pretty dangerous in this spot with Harlan Punch. So I'm going to go with this horse on top for me, and then I'm going to go with the horse that Harlan Punch beat last time underneath at 8-1, and that's Fat Man. You get Joe Sharp and Adam Biscuitza teaming up. Adam Biscuitza is pretty dangerous down at the fairgrounds. So is Joe Sharp. Those two have won a lot of races together at this meet, and just the last 4, this horse has been very, very competitive. So I think the 8-1 price is worth putting this horse in your exactas or your triples. And at that distance, this horse is 7 for 9, and a lot of the best running this horse has made was at this distance against some pretty nice fields. So I have Fat Man underneath of Harlan Punch.
And it's actually interesting because I think we have a different view as far as the way the pace is going to shape up. You're right. Harlan's Punch looks to be the speed of the speed. It looks like Flame Away, who always does well down at fairgrounds, is going to be forwardly placed as well. Quip, I think, is going to be stalking somewhere on the outside. The 4 to me is a little bit of an X factor in here. I don't have in my mix Silver Dust, but at 6-1, you have to just take a look at the last 4 and say this horse has just been in really good form and likes it down at fairgrounds, including that win 2 back and an optional claimer. For me, horses that I think, you know, like Lone Stellar, who's a stone cold closer, I think is going to benefit from what I think is going to be a little bit faster of a pace. Again, you and I have a little bit of a different theory as how it's going to go up. I think Quip is going to be one that I think making the first start as a 4-year-old hasn't been seen since the Preakness, where you just have to draw a line through that last race. Was pretty much pulled up at that, coming down the lane, finishing 8th. But you go back to the 2 and 3 back races, including that victory in the Tampa Bay Derby, where he got a solid 94 buyer, beat Flame Away, beat World of Trouble. We've seen World of Trouble go on and run really good performances since then. I think Quip is one to use. Is going to be used as the horse that I use in the 2nd spot anyway. And then if you're looking for a launch on it here, and again, we were talking about the pick 4 sequence, horses that you could use at a little bit of a price. I like the 12, Thirst for Life. Now, the recent Thirst for Life, absolutely you wouldn't want to use on any of your tickets. But if you go back to some of the races back in earlier part of 2018, where this horse was able to win a couple high optional claimers at Churchill Downs, getting a 97 buyer. The buyer's fit. The blinkers are going to go off. It's a good move for Wesley Hawkey, who already has a win down at fairgrounds. And the 15-1 to me is one of those horses I think is going to be overlooked in here. And I think with the blinkers coming off, if this horse is able to improve, the buyers that this horse was able to run on his best day would put this horse solidly in the mix. So for me, I saw it 5, 13, 12, and putting the 2 just in the outside of my mix. Your top choice, Harlan Punch, who obviously is a serious threat to go wire to wire in here. Very interesting race to kick off that pick 4 sequence in the Grade 3 Mineshaft. All right, we're going to switch to race number 10, the second part of that pick 4, the all-stakes pick 4. Again, $200,000 guaranteed. It's the Grade 3 Fairgrounds Handicap. And we're going to take a look at this race right now. We'll take a look at the odds for all the horses in here. Again, it's a field of 11. And you have to take a look at the morning line favorite in here, which is going to be Synchrony. It was the number 9 horse, a horse that finished 3rd last time out, but loves fairgrounds. 3 for 3 lifetime, has 7 wins in 18 lifetime starts, including that 3rd last time at Del Mar. Hasn't been seen since November, but you just take a look at the 200-plus buyers. There's only one other horse in here that can do it. So for me, Synchrony is a must-use in your pick 4 ticket. But when you're searching, I just think it's going to be bet down in this type of situation. I actually like the 6 in here, First Primero, a horse that won last time off of a very long layoff in June. Reappeared on January 19th to get the job done down at Fairgrounds, going a mile on the 16th. Sat the perfect trip, but was able to come home quick in 142. Won that race by 3 1/4. Got a solid 98 buyer, and I think can actually improve off that effort. 4-1 to me, I think is going to be okay in here. I'm hoping potentially drifts up to around 9-2, 5-1. But for me, I kind of like the 6 over the 9, even though the 9 is absolutely a horse to fear, and I have to believe you have the horse in the mix.
Yeah, I had Synchrony in my mix, and I did have the 6 in my mix as well. And, you know, I was kind of struggling where to put my top 3, and I actually had the Atfield horse. I didn't know who to put in the 4th spot, the Atfield horse, the 1, or the Great Wide Open, the 10. But I went with the number 5 on top with big changes in Florent Giroux again. I like the Giroux and Brad Cox combination. Obviously, a ton of success there. But this is a horse that won 5 in a row, dating back to last year. Lost to Mr. Misunderstood on a yielding turf course by half a length. We know how successful Mr. Misunderstood is on the grass. And we were talking about this time of year last year with Mr. Misunderstood. He, I believe, going into the fairgrounds this weekend was 11 for 11 on the turf.
We jinxed him. We talked about it on the stakes preview. The undefeated record on the turf, and I don't think he was able to win like the next 5 races on the turf. So hopefully there's no hard feelings for Mr. Misunderstood. So.
Right, but he was dominant down at the fairgrounds, and this horse lost by half a length 3 starts back in a grade 3 on a yielding turf course. So I think that this is the correct distance for this horse. The horse has not found the winner's circle at the fairgrounds or at this distance, but has been very, very close and has been in great form dating back to July of 2018. So I did have big changes on top, and again, you get Florent Giroux with speed or sitting right in a stalking role at 6-1. I did have Synchrony in my mix. You have to use on your pick 4 ticket. The Stidham Joe Bravo combination there. Stidham 18%, Bravo 18%. This horse has a serious closing kick. We saw that in the Seabiscuit at Del Mar over the fall. Lost to a really nice horse in Caribou Club. That was a really nice field. Lost the next shares before that at Keeneland. So this is a horse that's raced against a little bit better than this field, including Yoshida and Divisadero, and also is beating Mr. Misunderstood, who I was just so high on talking about my last horse. So I think that's a safe play for an exacta there, but I did put your top choice, the 6, right underneath in my mix. I think it's a very dangerous 4-1 price. And then Roger Atfield's got a Woodbine chipper coming in. That could be pretty dangerous coming off that Canadian International 4th place finish at a really nice 8-1 price. And it's pretty appealing. You get Corey Lannery in the irons as well. So this is a really nice betting race and a really deep field going a route race on the turf.
Yeah, I see the race kind of the way you see it, obviously, with just a couple different changes in here. But I think the 3 horses that you have to use in here, obviously the 6, my top choice, that's First Primo. The 5, Big Changes, who's my second choice and is going to be your top choice. And then Synchrony, just based on the fact the horse loves fairgrounds, and then the 100-plus buyers are something you have to fear in this type of situation, is one that has back class comparative to the field. Interesting horses to use, because again, we're trying to map out this pick 4 sequence. Horses that maybe aren't favorites in here, which ones are you kind of keying on to kind of spread in this type of situation? And how do you see the pace sort of developing for maybe some of these horses to use at longer prices?
This is the race I'm going to go my deepest, and a horse at 8-1 that I think you should play, and looking at some of these past races, is Combatant. Combatant was on that Kentucky Derby trail. And the last 3 starts really were not bad at all. 4th place finishes by lengths, and the horse was very, very wide. At Saratoga, finished 4th on the grass, the debut on the grass that day. And I didn't think it was a bad effort at all last time out in that Grade 2 event, finishing 3rd by half a length. So I think the horse would actually appreciate a stretch out from a mile to a mile and an eighth. So I think that's an interesting horse. And you get Jose Ortiz back in the irons, which is always appealing. Also dropping some pounds from 120 to 115. I think Combatant at an 8-1 price, you know, you should definitely play on your ticket, but with the pace, I think the pace could be moderate. I don't think they're going to walk up front.
I totally agree with you.
I think it's going to be a moderate
totally agree.
pace.
I think it's a moderate pace. I think the horses that are going to be close are going to benefit. That is the reason why I couldn't pick Combatant higher up in my mix, but I totally 100% agree with you with Combatant. I think that race last time against Riverpoint, who's a really nice horse for Jeff Mullins and has been victorious in a couple races of recent. So I think that race, the flying finish, finished 3rd, only beating a half length, like you said, 93 buyer. I think that was encouraging. A horse that has been limited to turf starts, and I think they finally found maybe a spot for Combatant. I know Seth was high on that horse going in the Kentucky Derby last year. Maybe they're starting to round into form and find this horse's niche being on the grass. Maybe a couple other horses you could use in here. Like you said, Tiz a Slam is actually one that's been going even farther, 1.5 mile route distances in the Canadian International. The Northern Dancer up at Woodbine, now cutting back to 1 1/8 miles. I think that horse is usable, like you said, for Roger Atfield. And then the 11 for Jack Sinnerston, a horse that was over in Europe, came over to America. The recent starts haven't been very good, but this horse showed some high promise over at Cork, winning impressively in the career debut to win by 9.5. 15-1, again, those are those sort of situations where if you can get one of those 15-1s home, and hopefully the price holds in this type of situation, this is where you're going to blow up to pick 4. So for me, this is a race you probably go 5, 6 deep in here if you have a big enough bankroll. Again, if you have to trim it down, obviously use the logicals, the 5, 6, and 9, and maybe include, one that we really haven't talked about is the 10, Great Wide Open, who's a horse that's going to be forwardly placed as well. I didn't have in my mix, but what were your thoughts quickly as we wrap this race up?
Yeah, I had Great Wide Open just outside of the mix, and I think it's very dangerous with the speed. And you can tell from the last 2 or 3, the stakes race 2 back, very impressive performance. They won a 48. The horse won by 4.5, and seems to like the fairgrounds surface. So this horse is running the money 5 or 7 times over this surface, and the last 3 have not been bad at all. The last 3 starts have been all at the fairgrounds with pretty good showings.
All right, your selections again?
I went 5, 9, 6, and 1.
All right, and I went 6, 5, 9, and 7 in the fairgrounds 10th. The second part of the late pick 4, all stakes pick 4 at fairgrounds on Saturday. All right, we'll take a look at the third leg right now, which is the Grade 2 Rachel Alexandra. Again, this is the road to the Kentucky Oaks. Going to go a mile and a 16th, Grade 2 event, $200,000 purse. There's the field. And there's a lot of notable names in here, and you have to start out with the number 10, Chasing Yesterday, whose career is 4 for 5 lifetime, with the only blemish being up at Saratoga in the Grade 1 Spinaway. But again, there's a lot to like with Chasing Yesterday. Was able to grind to victory in the Grade 1 Starlet at Los Alamitos Racecourse, over a mile and 16th. So you know the horse can handle the distance. Was able to beat a couple nice horses, including Mother that day. The Buyers have been better than most in here, but it's definitely not the highest. So this horse, I think, could still improve. Bob Baffert, Drayden Van Dyke, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I had Chasing Yesterday in my mix, but I'm ultimately going to try to beat the favorite in here. I was just not impressed in the Starlet at all last time out, and I know the horse won by a head. Mother's a really nice horse. The horse was wide on the Los Al surface, which is known for a quarter horse race. So I think Chasing Yesterday is a little short at 5-2. The Spinaway, I was willing to give an absolute pass at Saratoga, and then came back and ran some okay races. But stretching out for the first time in the Starlet, obviously that was a nice performance to win that race. But watching that replay, I think Chasing Yesterday could be beatable, especially with such a deep field. So I had to look the other way than Chasing Yesterday.
I agree with you. We're going to see a replay right now of the horse that I did put on top. That's the number 9, Needs Supervision. Going to go out for Jeremiah O'Dwyer. And you're going to see this horse at a whopping 37-1 coming up on the outside of the 3-5 favorite that day. And looks to be full of horse. They went quick early. Look at the fractions, 22-4, 46 flat. And this horse was able to go by easily. The 3-5 favorite was able to kick clear that day to win by 5 impressive lengths. They went 136-3 for that mile distance. Albeit it was over a sloppy track. There is the potential for rain on Saturday, so obviously a little bit of moisture on the track. I think Needs Supervision is definitely one to use in your mix at 5-1 on the morning line, and was able to repeat last time the Silver Bullet Day, getting up to win by 3/4 of a length over a couple nice horses, including Grandario, who I think is going to come back and win next time out. So I think this is one of those situations, like you said, we're Chasing Yesterday. I think maybe a little bit short in this type of situation. And I also think needs to show that this horse can win not being on the West Coast. Came over to Saratoga where the horse was able to ran a lackluster 7th that day. Now ships down to the fairgrounds. To me, I think one that you need to use in here is the number 9, Needs Supervision. Underneath the 4, Positive Spirit. We were both down for Cigar Mile Day when Positive Spirit just ran a hole in the win in the Demoiselle to win that Grade 2 event, getting an 86 buyer, career best 86 buyer, which is tops among any as far as last out performances go. The only problem with Positive Spirit, and I had just underneath in the second spot, Is the bounce theory in play? Was that race such a good race where there might be a slight regression for Positive Spirit, but you like to see Manny Franco go down this horse looking for 3 in a row, and then chasing yesterday in the 3rd spot? Again, like you said, I just think the price is going to be too short. Nothing wrong to say about chasing yesterday, only then you have to see it outside of the West Coast. So what were your thoughts here in race number 11?
Yeah, I agree. I need to see more from chasing yesterday, and I actually like the 3 here at 6-1. That's Serengeti Empress. This is a horse that we haven't seen since November. That was Breeders' Cup weekend, and ran in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies and really didn't do any running. Went off as the second choice at 3-1. Lost to Jaywalk. Restless Rider was also in there. But that Pocahontas race just still stares at me right in the face. The one she won the Pocahontas by 20 lengths, and that was just so impressive to see at Churchill Downs. So that's why I think the Breeders' Cup race was just a little bit of a disappointment there. But there was also a lot of speed in that Breeders' Cup race. So I'm willing to give her a pass there. They went very quick in that Pocahontas when the horse won by 19. So I think the pace is going to be quick again. I know this horse can handle some quick paces other than some of these other horses that are a little bit shorter on the prices and have folded a little bit with some quick paces, quick fractions. So I'm going to go with a horse that I know can run well at the distance for a trainer winning 21%, 12% of stakes races, and James Graham's having a really nice meet down there as well, winning 17%. So I think this is a little bit of a wise guy horse in this spot. And then in the second spot, I did go with chasing yesterday, and Drayden Van Dyke. He's just been riding unbelievably since the late part of the spring last year in California. But the 4 is Positive Spirit. Manny Franco's in town to ride this horse that did win the Demoiselle. We were there to see that on Cigar Mile Day. Very, very impressive at 11-1. This is a horse that's been working out lights out since that Demoiselle race. And off the layoff, 12% for the connections with a really nice ROI over 4. So I think Positive Spirit at 5-1 is very, very dangerous and should be sitting right off the pace here today. But then again, I am going to go with some speed here. And if the fractions are quick, I know I got Positive Spirit. Manny Franco sitting right in a nice stalking role. So that's the way I looked at it. I'm going to try to beat chasing yesterday. I think the Rachel Alexandra is one of those races in the pick 4 where you can cut down just a little bit.
Any horse on just in the outside era mix that's a little bit of a price play to maybe include in the pick 4?
Yeah, I thought Oxy Lady was just a little interesting at 6-1, and I like Biscuits. I already talked about how much I like him earlier in the show, but this horse won the Grade 3 event by 5 and then faced Grade 1 company in the Starlet in that Los Al race and did not run a bad 4th at all. 4th by 2 that day and just kind of got outran that day. So I like this horse. I like to see this horse go a mile and a 16th again from that one-turn mile at Aqueduct. So I think Oxy Lady's just a little interesting. Really nice breeding by Calumet Farm as well.
Absolutely. Bell's the one to me is the horse just on the outside of my mix that I'm going to use at 8-1. Horse that's 3 for 3 lifetime. I think this filly on the stretch out from 6 to a mile and 16th, that's the only question mark. Buyers are a little bit below what the tops would be in here with those consistent 74s. But for me, I think she can improve going 2 turns. And one that I think is going to be much more forwardly placed than it looks was a Stone Cold Closure going 6. I think on the stretch out should be much more forwardly placed, and that's one I think you need to use with Ferrandra, who's going to be aboard. So for me in the 11th, I saw it 9, 4, 10, and 7. Again, your thoughts?
I saw it 3, 10, 4, and 9.
All right, that's going to bring us to our break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the big one at Fairgrounds. It's the Risen Star.
The road to the Kentucky Derby ends with the most exciting 2 minutes in racing, but getting there begins long before then. With 34 prep races that span 15 tracks, the best place to watch, wager, and win is Capital OTB and OTB TV. Upcoming Derby prep races include the Risen Star from the Fairgrounds and the Fountain of Youth from Gulfstream Park. So for in-depth coverage and expert analysis of all the Derby prep races, stay with Capital OTB and OTB TV.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Not at the track and not near a computer? No problem. Wager with Capital OTB's Touch-Tone Wagering System and you'll never get shut out again. Capital OTB's Touch-Tone Wagering System is quick, simple to use, and guarantees your wagers are accurate and placed on time. For more information, visit CapitalOTB.com or call Capital OTB's customer service hotline at 800-292-BETS. Capital OTB's Touch-Tone Wagering System. Never get shut out again.
Welcome back to the Capital OTB Stakes Preview. Mike Callahan, Sully, Crotty. We are halfway through the Stakes Preview. We're up to the final leg of that All-Stakes Pick 4 at Fairgrounds. Again, $200,000 guaranteed. We've been trying to map it out for you. We're going to take a look at the Risen Star, which is a Grade 2 event, mile on the 16th on the dirt. A field of 15. Now, there is one notable scratch that I'm going to have to tell you about early, so you don't have to use this horse in your handicapping. That's Kingley. The 13 is actually going to be pointed towards Golden Gate. So I had the option of running in either this race or Golden Gate. From an article, it looks like Bob Baffert's going to ship this horse out to Golden Gate, which is going to make the 15 eligible for this race. So he's one that you're going to have to use in your equation now as far as handicapping goes. So definitely note those two changes. But again, it all starts out with War of Will, and you have to take a look at War of Will's last race in the Grade 3 LeCompte, where this horse set the ideal trip. They went slow fractions. He was able to benefit from it, kick clear by 4 lengths under Tyler Gaffalione. I thought that was obviously his best performance of the career. Got a 94 buyer. The workout sense has been very sharp, second of 135. There's no doubt that this horse should be favorite, but drawing the far outside post in here, 5-2, probably going to be a little bit lower, around 9-5 at post time for me. I couldn't use on top. What were your thoughts of War of Will?
Same thing. I couldn't use War of Will on top either. Obviously, War of Will is the horse to beat after that impressive LeCompte performance there. But, you know, to me, the Bourbon I thought was the best race this horse had, and it was on the turf. So obviously those 2 wins on the dirt were impressive as well, including that LeCompte. But I think the outside stalls is going to be a little hard to overcome, even with Tyler Gaffalione in town for the day. Even though I'm a big fan of Cassie and Gary Barber, I'm just going to try to beat War of Will here. But definitely the horse to beat.
And we actually agree on this situation with a live long shot in here at 10-1, and that's going to be Lima Knight, the number 10. With Brian Hernandez Jr. aboard, Steve Asmussen. I know there's a replay you want to talk about, so take it away.
Yeah, I just want to bring up the Kentucky Jockey Club from November 24th, and this was in the slot. But looking at the replay, I don't think the track was sloppy at all. And this is a replay with my top 2 horses, with the number 10 and the number 1. But the horses we're looking at are the number 7 and the number 5. Right now, Lima Knight's all the way on the outside. You can see the horse just getting going in the white cap. And then the number 5 horse is right in the outside in the blue cap. So that's plus K Parfait, the 5. And then Lima Knight is the 10, the number 7 in the white cap. And, you know, looking at the track, I think it's more muddy than sloppy, but just a great effort by both of these horses. And I just think if Lima Knight's not 12 wide, but it says 5 wide on the course, very dangerous in here. And I actually take the fast track, knock on wood, hopefully it's a fast track. This horse is very, very dangerous here. I love Steve Asmussen. Brian Hernandez is very sneaky on these big race cards. And this is a horse that has a serious closing kick and took a kind of a different direction in that race. Went last, was in 14th place by 10 lengths and finished 3rd by 2 that day, losing to a really nice horse in Signal Man. And lost to Royland, 2 back by a neck. It was a little bit closer to the pace that day. So I think 10-1 is just an unbelievable value for this horse. And then we just saw from that replay, the number 5 horses plus K Parfait going out for Brennan Walsh and Julian Laperoux will be aboard. Just that was a really nice performance there. Kind of threw in a little bit of a dud in the LeCompte, but the horse did stumble out of the gate, got bumped, and got checked, I think, twice in that race. So just an awful race all around. Nothing went right for the horse, and 10-1 offers a ton of value as well for these 2 Kentucky shippers. So you get a 10-1 and a 10-1 exacta home in this type of race. Completely blows up the pick 4 and brings home a really nice exacta. So that's just the kind of way I looked at the race. I thought that Grade 2 event with such a deep field was just a really nice performance by those two.
Yeah, and I think we both agree on the way the race is going to shape up because we're both on a horse that I think is going to be a little bit mid-pack, maybe farther back. I think the pace is going to be much more swift than it was in the LeCompte. I think a lot of jockeys are going to assess that race as one where they just kind of drop the ball. They let the horses up front get away with some really easy fractions. I don't think War of Will is going to get the same type of setup he got last time out. And one of those situations where I think you could see Limonite, just like the replay we showed you, sort of storming home. Is out a Lemon Drop Kid. You know this horse is going to like the distance of 1 1/16. Probably like going 1 1/4 if this horse is able to get to the Kentucky Derby, and one that's been working well for Steve Asmussen. And again, it's Steve Asmussen dominates down at Fairgrounds. You just have to say that time and time again. 24% as a win percentage down there so far. 21 of 89 starters. So for me, I'm not sure what kind of price you think we're going to get. I don't think the 10-1 is going to hold.
No,
I think,
absolutely not.
Because for you and I to agree on this horse in a field of 14, I think this horse potentially 7-1 maybe?
Yeah, I think 7-1, 6-1, 7-1, but I think the 10-1 will not hold. But I still think, War of Will is going to go off 2-1, 9-5. So you're going to get a really nice price either way.
Right. Another live long shot and another replay that we're going to show you here is Mr. Money, who I have in the third spot. I had Limonite on top, just like Sully did. Warwell in the second spot, a horse you have to respect. But you're going to see Mr. Money here in winning and breaking the maiden a third career start is actually going to be the number 8 in here on the outside at 9-1. Was able to engulf the 1-5 favorite. That's Wild Medaglia d'Oro. And kick clear here under some moderate fractions. They didn't really go that fast. Actually spotted the leaders a couple lengths in here and kicked clear and was, to me, very impressive to break the maiden. Then repeated that with a 4th place finish to Game Winner, who obviously won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Nick's Go, and also Signal Man. And I think one of those situations where I think Mr. Money is on the improve. They'll work on February 8th. First of 21 went 1 minute and a fifth for 5 furlongs. Going to go out for Bet Calhoun, and Gabriel Zeiss is going to be aboard and has been aboard for all 4 career starts. I think this horse is definitely one to fear in here, 12-1 on the morning line, and is one that I think is going to be a value play in this type of situation. Maybe able to round out the pick 4 with some big numbers in here. So for me, I had it in the third spot, and then the 1 plus K Parfait in the 4th spot, the horse that you like in your mix as well. So for me, I'm going to try a couple long shots in here with Limonite and Mr. Money to try to upset Warwell.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I already said it by top 2, Limonite and plus K Parfait, and then War of Will in the 3rd spot. 4th spot, I did have another big price. That's Country House at 20-1. I'm a big fan of Kentucky Wildcat. Kentucky Wildcat broke the maiden and came back and won 2 really nice races in Kentucky. So that's a really nice maiden special to come out of, and really interesting to see Louis Size and Billy Mott teaming up after that really nice win as the favorite, breaking the maiden at Gulfstream. So 20-1, closing speed, Louis Size, and very tough to wire fields at Fairgrounds. I'm going to give that horse a shot to complete supers at a huge price.
All right. That's going to recap everything at Fairgrounds as we transition now to our last race, which is going to be down at Laurel Park. It's the Grade 3 Barbara Frietchie. Going to go 7 furlongs on the dirt. It's going to be a field of 11 in here, as you see the odds momentarily. But it's one of those situations where you have horses shipping in from the West Coast who are going to be your favorites in here. Spice Perfection, the number 1, 3-1 on the morning line. Going to go out for Peter Miller. It's going to be first time going out for Peter Miller, who's 25% in this type of situation. Horse that has won 2 in a row, looking for 3 in a row. Last one being in the Grade 1 La Brea, where the horse was able to get up, kick clear by a length and a quarter. Got a nice 91 buyer. Shipping to the East Coast, a little bit of a question mark. Interesting move for Peter Miller. Did actually see this horse? I know we were talking about it in the office, but one that you have to fear. Flavian's coming in. You have to respect that. I'm going to try to beat the horse, but where did you see Spice Perfection?
I had Spice Perfection on top, and I'm as big as a Flavian fan as I think there is around here. I love Flavian Pride, especially on these big race days, but he's a dangerous rider, and I'm going to bring up a replay of just the stretch run of Spice Perfection from last time out. This was the day after the Christmas, that ginormous stakes card at Santa Anita. And Flavian and Spice Perfection, they are the 9 horse, and they're going to swing 4 wide here at 5-1. And it's just such an impressive win here. They're in the white blinkers all the way on the outside. So Flavian has a lot of horse left, obviously, to beat some of these, the number 1 in this race, Hot Autumn. I thought this is just a really impressive performance on opening day at Santa Anita, one of these opening days. To be so wide in a sprint race, to make up that kind of ground with some really nice horses on the front end, I thought that was an impressive win there. I don't think the 3-1 holds, but if it does, I'm going to throw a pretty dollar on that horse at 3-1. But in my second spot, I did go with the 4 Dawn the Destroyer coming in from New York for Kieran McLaughlin. I do like Kieran in these sprint races as well, 18% for Kieran, so that's something to keep an eye on. And that Interborough Stakes, very, very impressive win, beating Sauer and Honor Way. And then also at Keeneland, the horse came in from Keeneland to run at Aqueduct. 2 really nice performances there in New York. And then in the third spot, I did go with Late Night Powwow, a little bit of a horse for course angle. West Virginia bred horse, has had a lot of stakes background there. A winner of 10 lifetime races at 11 starts. The only loss by by half a length in a state bred stakes race at Charlestown. So Late Night Powwow. Let's see if this horse is the real deal. 4 for 4 at the distance, 10 lifetime wins and 11 starts, 7-2. Seems to be like a fair price.
Yeah, I'm going to use the horse for course angle in this type of this race. I went 8, 2, 1, and 9. There's 2 horses in here that love the Laurel surface, and that's the 8 Miss Locust Point at 6-1. I think offers great value for John Service, a horse that won last time out in a non-conditional allowance race. Going 6 furlongs down to the Parks over good going, was able to sit a different type of trip. This is a horse that predominantly needs the lead, and I think the trainers sort of saw this horse going to the lead and faltering in each and every occasion. Last time they switched dynamics and actually sat off of the pace, and this horse was able to win in that type of situation, winning by 3 lengths. Getting an 88 buyer, is 4 for 5 as far as wins goes down at Laurel, with the only blemish being a second place performance. It does have a couple wins going 7 furlongs, so that's also a question. But I think this horse has been working pretty well, and I think it's going to be a value play at 6-1. Underneath the 2, Late Night Powwow, a horse that you talked about, 10 for 11 lifetime. And you just take a look at it. It just seems like people are a non-believer. Take a look at the 4 starts back. The horse won that race off of 7 races in a row. It was 9-1 that day. So I just think 7-2 is actually going to hold in this spot, and it was one that you need to use just based on the 10 of 11 alone. 4 for 4 at the distance, 2 for 2 at Laurel. Again, there's a lot to like with the 2, Late Night Powwow, and then the 1, Spice Perfection in the third spot. I have nothing to say that's bad about her. She's been in very good form. I just think the transition from the West Coast to the East Coast, she's just going to need to prove it to me, but it is very scary to see Flavian Prat, who's going to be aboard. I think she's going to be a short price, somewhere around 8-5. And then the 9 in the fourth spot, one to use as a live long shot, 15-1 on the morning line, a horse that's searching for 5 in a row, another one that likes Laurel, horse for course angle as well. 4 for 6 as far as win goes, 6 for 6 in the money. Wesley Hamilton's going to be aboard. So one to use in your exotics that you can use even in the multi-sequences, just trying to get a bomb in these types of situations. So again, for me, 8, 2, 1, and 9 in the Barbara Fritchie. All right, that's going to wrap things up for us on the stakes preview. Thanks for tuning in. Again, we've been doing pretty well in 2019 as far as the stakes preview goes, so hopefully we gave you some an insight and analysis that you can use for your late pick 4 tickets at Fairgrounds. Again, it's an all stakes pick 4, $200,000 guaranteed. Again, as you're seeing this on Saturday morning, we do have a bankroll at Villa Valeni Easy Bet, so stop by, say hi. We're both going to be there, and hopefully you can watch those Fairgrounds races with you. Sully's going to have a $300 bankroll. How you feeling going into it?
Yeah, it's been a good week on the one sheet up to this point, and these are tough races, so I'm going to try to build some bankroll up to these type of build some of that bankroll up so we have some money to play with at Fairgrounds. So Gulfstream's got a really nice card as well, and same with Laurel. So there's plenty of potential to make some money. So again, stop by Villa Valeni's in Troy.
Yeah, sign-ups from 12 to 2. We'll be wagering from 1 to 5. So definitely stop down to Villa Valeni in Troy. Again, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Take care.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Offtrack Betting.